Yes, indeed. I have fun doing those videos. I can't help myself. And thanks to epidemicsound.com for the music. They're getting a free plug. I don't have an account, or I'm not getting anything for this, but it's a great place to go if you want to add some royalty-free sound, and it doesn't cost you a whole lot of money every month. Anyway, our future plans for Generation Red is, first and foremost, you're looking at the first one, which is this is something we've been doing since, what, December, Scott? When we did our last episode doing the over-under game results with the Husker Podcast. I think that was in December.
Yeah, it was.
And we've started doing the live
December.
streams with them. Yep, the roundtables. So we intend to continue that with our regular show. So every week during the season, we will be live streaming each week as a review, doing a review of the game that was just played, and we will also do a preview of the next week's game. So we'll probably kind of get back to doing our long form podcasts. Audience involvement is encouraged. Please, if you're watching, nobody is now, but that's okay. But if you are, please send us some comments or questions as we're going through the show, and we will be happy to throw those up on the screen if they're appropriate and answer any questions you might have. The audio show will still be available by Monday or Tuesday mornings on our feed on your favorite podcast app. So make sure you're subscribed there. If you'd rather consume your podcast in audio form, you will still be able to listen to what we just did here by Monday or Tuesday morning this next week. And of course, long form show during the season. And we plan to do this new thing called the Husker Fan Hangout. And that is where where Scott and I are here on StreamYard with a bunch of you. We can have up to 8 other folks on a stream with us. And depending on internet connection, of course, for me. But if you want to participate in something like that, please shoot us an email. We have a new email address now, which I'll talk about here in a minute. And the branding that we've kind of changed things up. If you're looking at the screen, you've seen that the branding's changed a little bit. But GenRedPod@gmail.com is now an active email address where you can interact with us and request to be either on the show or on the Husker Fan Hangout and all that good stuff. So all I need is you to just put specifics in the subject line. Just say, hey, I want to be on the Husker Fan Hangout, and I will keep your name and email address available. And when we start doing them, we'll let you know that you're on the list. Okay, so that's what I've got for the live stream side of that. Do you have any thoughts on any of that, Scott?
No, not really. Not particularly.
Okay. Well, as far as branding is concerned, as I said, the new email for listeners to email us is genredpod@gmail.com. YouTube channel has been changed to GenRedPod Live, and we're going to be moving our website eventually to Podpage. So stay tuned for the new URL. It should be live by the start of the season. The reason I'm doing that is, A, WordPress is an internal pain in the ass to update and add a podcast to. It just doesn't automatically grab the RSS feed from our podcast audio host. So I have to physically add it every single time. It's an extra, now that I've gotten fairly decent at it, it's an extra 10 to 15 minutes of work. But with Podpage, it just hooks directly to our RSS feed as soon as I upload a show. Everything and anything that I upload, including show notes and episode art and all that stuff, just automatically goes to our website at podpage.com. So that's why I'm going that route, just to streamline my back end work after the show is over. And it'll be better. I think it'll be a better. I have a feeling they use WordPress as their base, but they do all the work. All I have to do is upload stuff. So any thoughts on that, Scott, or any questions at all, or ideas that you might have that maybe I'm not thinking of?
A little bit. Eventually we would like to find ourselves in a place where we can snip together some highlights from some of our live streams and conversations that me and my father have, and put them together on YouTube to kind of expand our repertoire of media.
Right.
We'll see when and where that'll actually happen. It'll obviously happen on our YouTube channel, but that's something that I'm looking into right now, kind of figuring out how to splice together a bunch of audio clip or video clips and making them seamless and coherent. But yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you were able to find that URL with Pod Page, that it just makes your life a little bit easier and just plugs it all in and makes
Certainly
a
does.
resource for our fans to actually have a seamless uh, a seamless uh, uh, thing.
Access to the show. Yeah.
Yes, there we go. There we
Yep.
go. Nope, that's all I got.
Yep. Cool. Well, another thing that we're planning to do this season, instead of just looking at our two ugly mugs every week, we are hoping to have some guests on, including listeners. We want to be, as Scott and I talked about a couple months ago, we want to be an inclusive podcast. And that doesn't mean the political and cultural meaning that everybody thinks inclusivity means. It just means we want to include you. So if you're watching or listening to this later, and you'd like to be a part of one of these streams, you're more than welcome to. Again, email me at genredpod@gmail.com. Just throw in the subject line, I'd like to be on the regular show, and I'll reach back out to you and we'll talk about it. So, and we're hoping to get some former players on. I know Scott's been talking to a couple people. I have talked to a couple. And then we'd also like to keep partnering up with other podcasts. So yeah, you'll see the Cuzcast make a return visit here in the next few months anyway for the plus minus game. Well, actually, we're going to play the plus minus game on our Big Red Roundtable in July, so they're not necessarily going to be on Generation Red. But so yeah, that's kind of the plan. I know you kind of have some thoughts on guests and having other folks be involved in the show, right?
Yeah. Pretty much what you had said is that I think one of the things that we want to try and do that's just a little bit different than maybe other Husker podcasts, and don't shoot the messenger, like I could be wrong, is that we're not necessarily concerned with bringing people the most up to date and most accurate information. Like we're not perfect. Like we're just fans. Like that's what we are. We're a fan podcast, and we don't necessarily want to constrain ourselves to only just the highest possible quality content with the most well articulated individuals. Like we'll have some hit or misses. Like we'll definitely have some guests that we're just like, all right, awesome, like, but that's kind of the that's kind of how conversations in sports fandom work. Like when you're at the bar, or when you're at a family gathering, or when you're just hanging out at church or the community center that you volunteer at, when you talk about sports, like it's just genuine, unapologetic, completely off the top of the dome, like conversation. And I think that people enjoy that. I think that people genuinely want to listen to those organic opinions that people formulate just right on the fly.
Sure.
And so, yeah, what we would love to do is to, like my dad said, we would love to just have anybody on, like, so long as we do have a little bit of a standard. Like we don't want you to have it on your Nokia flip phone with, like a tiny little Bluetooth microphone. Like, we would love for at least a little bit of good video quality and good microphone quality. And that's pretty much it. Like we would love to just have all of the fans. Let's have all the fans. Let's all get together and talk about Husker football, and let's all be wrong sometimes. Like be just wildly wrong.
And that's kind of what the Husker Fan Hangout's going to be about too. Unscripted, no outlines, no plans. You just bring whatever the blazes in Husker sports you want to talk about. Hell, I won't know a whole lot about the other sports, but it'll be fun to hear what you guys have to say. So yeah, and certainly on this show, anybody who wants to come on and talk Husker football and brings at least a decent camera and a way of doing their audio so that it's not hideous to listen or watch, that would be awesome. Anything else you want to say on that?
I feel like there was
dropped into number 4 anyway. So
yeah, I guess no, just we just would really like to be a safe haven for maybe other former or current players to come and just maybe just shoot the crap. Like, we don't even necessarily need to talk about Husker football sometimes. Like, we could just have
Just
a
talk.
a conventional conversation about food or about interests and hobbies and stuff like that. Like, maybe to get to
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
maybe give a platform to a player if, you know, maybe they just want to talk about something that they do aside from football, or
Yeah,
anything really. Like, the sky's the limit, I guess. You know, I guess that would be
absolutely.
the last thing that I had in my mind of things. So
Hmm.
yeah, we can move on.
Well, part of having listener and viewer involvement, we would really love it because we do the fun fact segment on this show, which we kind of opened with that this afternoon, even without calling it that. But we would love to hear fun facts about you guys. Send them in an email at GenRedPod@gmail.com. I'm going to keep saying that thing until you all have it memorized. And if you send those to us, any of those fun facts that get sent, we'll read them on the air. So, and yeah, you'll be like podcast famous. So that's pretty cool. Um, and then, of course, please do us a huge favor and like, share, and leave us a rating and a review. It certainly helps our show get noticed. The more listeners get involved with letting other folks know that the show's out here, we really appreciate it. Our downloads keep going. I'm so impressed with where we've gone and where we've come from, and getting to make contacts with people like the Go Big Redcast and others in the Husker Cuzcast has been truly one of the joys of my life. Getting to know those guys and hanging out with those guys has been absolutely awesome. So as far as yeah, you kind of mentioned it. You kind of mentioned number 5 a little bit when you were talking about the fact that we'd
Yeah.
like to be more of a conversational show, a little bit less regimented. Now, I do have an outline. We're going by an outline here, but
Yes.
we don't have a shit ton of bullet points under the outline for that we have to get in, which has always been a problem, at least for me. Is I'll usually do an outline for the show, folks, just a little glimpse behind the curtain, and then I'll do a separate outline for me so that I have all the bullet points down of all the things I want to talk about according to our main show outline. And let me tell you, we spend probably more time, at least I have, when I've been on the mic, I have spent more time making sure I get all my bullet points in as opposed to allowing for a conversation. So I'm going to work really hard on that. Just maybe come out with a really loosely based outline, have an idea of where we're going, and then just let the conversation take us there. So that's the plan. I know you're kind of the same way. We both are really good at monologues, right?
Yeah. We can talk. Yeah, no, what I was thinking of was just the fact that, yeah, I think one of the things that is human about me and my dad is that, you know, we don't want to look dumb. We don't want to look like a deer in headlights, when we're called upon to just pull out information out of our head on a whim, which, granted, is an insecurity of mine. Like, I don't have a really great memory, so it is very difficult for me to do that. But what I do know is that when I take those expectations and I get rid of them, I'm more myself. I can actually just, like, instead of being worried about, oh, did I say the right thing? Did I say the right name? Did I quote the right
Yeah,
statistic? I can just be more conversational. And what you had written down there, and you haven't used the word yet, but I could be more controversial. Like, I'm actually a way more controversial opinion person than I would make it out to be in the podcast. I like to play it safe a lot of the times. I like to make sure that I'm not ruffling any feathers, stepping on any toes. I like to be a little bit
yeah,
more agreeable at times, but there are just times where, I mean, I'm not like an asshat or anything, but, you know, maybe this gives us the opportunity to be a little bit more controversial and just say what we're thinking instead of reciting a bullet
sure.
point that was, that it was like proofread and watered down and made more vanilla. Like, nope. Let's just be more careless than careful. Um, I think that's one of the things
Yeah,
that
a
I
little
do.
more
That I
carefree.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's one of the things. Once again, shout out to the
yeah, I agree.
Cuzcast.
I agree
Is they
completely.
found the Cuzcast has found a really good art of they've got bullet points, but it's more of like how to keep them oriented in one direction, but they're not afraid to move left or right with what it is that they're thinking about it. And so that's something I admire
Sure.
about them.
They have perfected the art of arguing.
Yeah.
For certain, arguing or debating. I would just say passionate debate. They don't really argue. They're very good at being able to argue their side of an argument. And there's usually three sides with those guys. And I really appreciate that about them. I hope we can kind of get there. At times, I don't want our whole podcast to be about being controversial, but at times you drop something that bugs you about the team that you're just not sure why it bugs you, and there's just something you need to say. By all means, say it. So that's going to be fun. I'm hoping we're definitely going to be more free flowing. And you know what? I already talked about the last topic, which was the new plus minus game. But I'll just remind you again, Facebook page and Twitter this season is where you can play. And again, the winner will join us for our season preview episode right before the first game, and you get a GenRed t-shirt. And second place will join us live on our 2023 spring game review. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. You know what? That pretty much wraps up the topics we wanted to talk about tonight. Any other thoughts just bouncing around in your head you just want to throw out there?
Just that I'm excited to go to the spring game, and then we're also going to hop over to a baseball game right after that. So it'll be a fun hopefully a sun-filled day. I actually haven't checked the weather to see what it's supposed to be like. But
last I checked, 60s and partly cloudy at times. But yeah, we should be pretty decent. Sweatshirt weather, probably.
Nice.
So,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that too.
I'm really excited about that.
Well, let's see here. There it is. The next GenRedPod stream is April 10th, 2022. So that's the next Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Thank God we're going to actually have one time starting next year. That's going to be awesome. We'll spring forward and then we'll be done with this whole time change crap. But anyway, April 10th, 2022, 4:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Our guest will be Luke Merrill, one of Scott's buddies from growing up in Grand Island. He was the second place finisher in the 2021 plus minus game, and we will be, of course, reviewing the spring game for this year. So, and then our next set of roundtables will be in May, June, and July. And the first one is May 15th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and we will be picking our own black shirts, not based on what any of the coaches say, not based on anything, but we'll just have a little bit of fun filling out the black shirts. And who knows, maybe we'll throw in the who we want to see as the second teamers too, just to have a little bit of fun with it. So that's what's going on in May. June, I don't have necessarily a date yet because I'm not exactly sure if the second Sunday in June is going to work with everyone. We don't have a confirmed guest. I'm talking to someone who's also a Husker fan-based podcast, and they've said they're interested. They just don't know what their schedule is going to be at that point. So once we know, we'll let you know. But we will be, that topic that night will be picking our offensive starters. So that ought to be fun because I think we might have some differing opinions on that one. Yeah. And then July, of course, as I said earlier, we will be doing the next version of the over-under game with the Husker Cuzcast. We won't have a guest that night. It'll be just us five. It should be a whole lot of fun, and I'm going to try to come up with some different categories, more so than just total offense, total defense, and all that kind of stuff. I think I'm going to get a little bit more specific, and I think it's going to be a lot more fun. So there you go. That's the plans for the future as far as the shows coming up. We won't do another Generation Red unless something crazy comes up between now and the beginning of the season. We will probably just do our show next week, and then we will begin to start podcasting weekly the first week in August. So to lead up to the season. So there you go. We really appreciate you guys listening, watching. You have any thoughts on any of that stuff, Scott, or is there any ideas that you have in mind that we need to do for the next couple roundtables? I know I kind of came up with them on my own, along with Justin. He was kind of part of that too. You like those? Because we thought one topic per roundtable was a good idea. Maybe, just maybe, we don't have to freaking live stream for 2 hours. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, on a Sunday that can be a little bit brutal sometimes, but
Yeah, it can. Especially for poor Tyler, because he's got to get up so early. So that's, I think, why he was probably not part of the one we did with Honky. Just because I think 2 hours is too long for him. So,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
anyway,
no, I don't have anything to add. Just
all
woohoo.
right.
Let's move into
Yeah,
season
this is going to
2.
be fun. I'm really looking forward to next week. Looking forward to the spring game. And again, you can find us. You can share, or download. Good Lord, man, I don't have my script written out. Can you tell?
Oh yeah.
You can listen, download, or subscribe to our show at our website, which is still currently GenRedPod.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at GenRedPod, or GenRedPod Live on YouTube. And of course, our email is GenRedPod@gmail.com. My name's Ken. He's Scott. Together, we are Generation Red, and we're here to remind you that Iowa's corn sucks, and there's no place like Nebraska.
Go Big Red.
Yes, indeed.